So, welcome to Investing for Value. So, why do we care about investing? Because at the end of the day, a lot of us just go through life without investing, and we don't seem to notice at all. But the problem is, it's probably because you're young. And the problem is, when you're young, you don't think about these things. You don't think about retirement. You don't think that you have to buy a house. You don't think that you have a family to look after. And those are kind of really critical. Those are kind of milestones where one day you wake up and then time just flashes before your eyes, and the next thing you know, you've got all these responsibilities. You want to be financially independent, but you can't because the problem is you haven't put those building blocks in place, and one of those building blocks is investing. If you don't know how to invest, you kind of put a handicap on yourself and your ability to increase your wealth. And the one thing that's going to make you financially free, that is money, right? And how do you really earn it? Well, the thing is, you have to invest. You have to look at things like property, stock market. That putting your money into a savings account isn't going to help you. It's not going to make a major difference. Like, you put your money in your savings account to preserve your wealth, but you put your money in the stock market to grow it, okay? So you have to remember, when you put your money into things like a savings account, bonds, it tends to be wealth preservation. And that's usually reserved for people who have a lot of money. If you're putting your money in a bank account, you have to re-look at your whole situation and go, is this for wealth preservation? Like, if it's for wealth preservation, by all means do that. But there's a question: how are you where you need to be, or do you need to grow that money that's in the bank? Do you need to put it into property? Do you need to put it into stocks? And that's kind of like the whole thing. You need a cold, hard talk. You need to be told that these things do matter, and avoiding it doesn't help. And that's the thing. Like, I've seen so many people who could start investing early. They have a job, they have savings, but their main goal is they just want to have a good time. They would just want to spend all their money on travel, buy a nice car, or just do something that doesn't necessarily lead them to a more, financially free future. It leads to a more, like you're young, you do want to live a really good life, you want to have memories. And I'm not saying you should stop yourself from doing that, because of course, you should enjoy things while you're young. But there's also the other part of it. If you don't take the responsible decision, you don't invest, and investing can be very fun itself. Like, don't get me wrong, like the minute you dive into it, you make money, you look at companies, you'll get so enthused about it. You would start to wonder why you didn't start. Though of course some people will never like investing because it's just, some people just don't like financial kind of things. But I can tell you one thing though. If you like products, you're a consumer of a lot of things, you will like investing, because every company that you meet and you consume their products, you could potentially invest in that company. And or you might not consider it that, hey, I use the products. You could consider it being, I want, I want to contribute to a better future. So like, I want, less pollution or a better planet. And what's going to achieve that? Is investing in electric cars going to help accelerate it? Because if you don't invest in things like that, it never happens. Everything that happens because we make that first movement, right? And that's the thing. You can invest in things you like. You can invest in things you're passionate about, that you want to be, more. Firstly, you want to grow your wealth. You want to preserve it or whatnot. and at the same time, you can also put it to a good cause. And that's what a lot of things that people don't think about it. When someone talks about the stock market or investing or even money, everyone starts to have kind of like a connotation in their mind that, hey, investing, it's risky, of course. But do you know what's more risky? Waking up at 40, 50, 60, and then going, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't learn how to do this. What do I do next? And, if you don't have your life together, you've never built up any wealth, your retirement's looking a bit scarce, like you kind of want to start considering that these things matter. And the sooner you start considering these things matter, then you can start making a first step. And that's what I want to, help you along your journey. Because I'm also along that journey myself. Like, I don't come across as someone, that, hey, I've been really successful in this, and I'm going to lead you through the way, and here's my course. No, there's no course involved. For me, this is an opportunity to teach and also learn. If you teach, you learn twice as much, right? If you never heard of that, you haven't taught enough. That's the thing. Teaching is a rather valuable thing. Like, a lot of people start teaching when they're a lot older. I'm just very passionate about this area. So I want to just take these opportunities, especially in this digital age where you can make a video, you can start talking to people, being engaging, and we don't use this medium enough to connect with everyone out there. And that's what I want to take this opportunity to do, to really connect with someone who wants to learn investing. And like, I'm going to be a lot of steps ahead of you, of course. Like, I've invested in every single industry, invested in many different markets, tried a lot of different things, and I know what works, what doesn't quite work. Of course, there's, chances are that most things will work, but we want to choose things that work for majority of people. If it works for majority of people, then it will be fun. It should work for you. And that's the thing, like, when it comes to finances, we're not necessarily gonna always try to challenge ourselves, or because at the end of the day, like, trying to do something with a low percentage of success, it's kind of just stupidity, right? Because why would you do something that has a low chance of success when it goes up in smokes? What do? That's kind of like investing in cryptocurrency. Like, you could have done that, but no one was certain about it. The risk was quite high. And for the people who made a lot of money, well, they did really well. But if you invested at the peak of the cryptocurrency, what happened to you? And that's the thing. I'm not here to go invest in these super risky things. I do want you to take some risk. Like, step out there, look at property, look at the stock market, and you can begin to explore, and then you can look at diversifying between these things. Don't keep your money in a bank account. Like, if you keep your money in a bank account, that's like a low amount of return. Of course, it's almost absolutely certain you'll get your money back from that. But at the end of the day, like, you look back in 10 years after that, 20 years after that, it's not really going to have made a massive difference to your life. Of course, you have to look at your financial circumstance. What are you using this money for? Are you investing this money somewhere else later? Like, do you need it in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? That's the thing. Investing tends to be one of those areas where, hey, like, we're not necessarily saying it's going to have to be really long term, but it really helps if you are there for the long term so that you can just ride the waves. So I've got this whiteboard behind me, and I plan to use it eventually, maybe just right now, I guess. Like, you look at a stock market chart, and reason it's always like this is because things come in waves, but at the end of the day, we're focused on a straight line. Like, if you invest in something, you hope it appreciates over time. And if not, as long as you're holding, these waves don't really matter. Because if you're holding and you'll focus on the rest of your life, you can just focus on your life. You don't have to watch the stock market every day and panic, which is what a lot of people do in the first place. They watch the stock market, they panic, and then they sell out. So like, say like you're here, you invest here, and then the stock market, and then your stock goes down, and you sell out. Okay, gone, and then you find it's gone up there, and you just go like, oh, what did I just do? It's rising. I should have brought it. And then, well, I should have kept it. And then you buy it here, and then it drops again, and then you panic again. You sell out. So you do not want to be one of those type of investors. You want to be the investor that starts here, and you want to be an investor at ends there, or even here. But of course, we have to look at your time frame, and that's the only thing you can know yourself. Everyone has different financial circumstances. So that's why you owe it to yourself to manage and plan for yourself. Like there's nothing that I can say that can fully lead you. I can only, you're watching me because you want some advice, you want some tips, but I can't give you full guidance. The only person that knows yourself is best is you. Or else you just find a financial advisor, and that can potentially help. But like they're not necessarily the best. Of course, if you're completely, if you have no knowledge of finance and you do not have any inclination to learn about it, then that's where a financial advisor really helps. Of course, if you find you need the help, of course seek help. But of course, this is kind of an area where you can just learn, and I highly applaud you to start learning. Read a lot of books. I'll have a book video one day, and then you can kind of look at the books that might help you. Like, I think reading is one of the best ways of starting. Of course, watching a lot of videos will help, but nothing's more informative than a book that someone spent hundreds of hours writing, thinking, what's the best way to convey information to you? And that's kind of what it's about. Investing is about learning. The more you learn, the better you get. And of course, you have to actually invest. You actually have to find a stock, or if you're into property, find a property. Kind of property prices kind of happen like this as well, except you don't have a ticker symbol every day telling you what it's worth. You just assume that the minute you buy it, it's worth more later on. And the same thing with stocks, except we get quoted prices all the time. So that's why we end up being quite impatient about what we know, about like what we get into. Kind of like what I'm demonstrating here. It's just the long term game is find something. If you can buy companies with strong fundamentals, over time they rise. All these fluctuations are, most of it's emotional. Most of it's like someone just buys here, they hope to make money, and then they hope to just, so like if you brought down here and it went up here, you'd probably sell. Like that's kind of like a trader's mentality. You can choose what approach you want to take. At the end of the day, no one went broke taking a profit. But of course, you could have been here and end up right there. And that's the kind of decisions you have to make. You have to decide what your investing time frame is and the type of risks you're willing to take. Sometimes you could be here, have the opportunity up here, and then you don't take it and it ends up down there. That can happen too. So that's why you do your research. And I hope, to be along this journey. If you have questions, comments, just post below, and then hopefully I can get back to you, and we can just start this journey, and be very happy that we're building our wealth, learning a lot of things while we're at it, and then one day being financially free. Until that, well, yeah, until the next video. I hope that kind of just gives you a brief explanation that to where I'm coming from, why I think, like it's good to learn more about it, why I'm trying to, teach more about it. It's kind of like one of those things that matter, right? Um, until next time, but like this is such a in-depth topic that I couldn't necessarily explain in one sitting, right? We can look at the simplified way of what a company is, what a stock market, why you want to be in the stock market, companies in the stock market, economic trends, all these things that can just impact your investment. Um, but we'll just leave it here because I think I'm already going quite a long time already. These days, people don't have long attention spans. So until next time.